Hi guys. First of all, congratulations and thank you for your interest. You would have had a good read and a good look at what it's all about. Now, today I'm going to go and do a little bit more of a web class, just looking at, what the industry size is, a little bit about the breakdowns, and the different areas that you can actually be working in, as well as, what your income could look like. So I'm doing some projections, which you'll find very, very interesting. So first of all, we had discussed just the size of the refund industry in Australia. And I did a video, which you may have seen, that actually shows you just a simple Google search, right? Looking at how much money is there for refunding in Australia alone. And I'm going to share that video now.
So this is a search that I did just on Google. All right. And I looked for, money owing, just to show you what I'm talking about. This is in Australia only. And, Nine News talks about, more than $20 billion, okay, across Australia that's sitting idle, right? Funds that are sitting idle around the country, right? And basically waiting to be refunded to the rightful owners, to the right people that really should be requesting that refund. Most of them are completely oblivious. Now, that figure is actually today around $23 billion in Australia alone. Globally, it actually sits around the $100 billion. And this is across Australia, New Zealand, the USA, UK and Canada. These are the jurisdictions that our program covers. It is an amazing, juicy sector to be in, and this just shows you just the opportunity that's there in Australia.
So how cool is that? Now, this is Australia only, and the reality is in Australia, there is $23 billion with a B that are awaiting refund. And you will see what those numbers actually look like today with me. And you'll realize that at any given moment, there is money being lost and there's more money being added to that particular, pot of money. Now, keep in mind also that we work with not just Australia. You can work in just Australia. There's just so much money to be able to go and refund. So many people, literally millions upon millions of people in Australia alone that are owed, billions of dollars, and most of them have no idea. So you are like absolutely Santa Claus to them, and you become their best friend really quickly. Who doesn't want money? But globally, you have a sector that's sitting at around the 100 billion. Our very thorough estimates, place the global market in refunding at about $98 billion. And again, this is all public information. It's quoted in many, many sources, including Forbes and, New York Times, etc. So I find that really, really interesting, because our program looks at, Australia, New Zealand, the US, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And the beauty of it is, and this is something that people tend to miss, just because you're Australian doesn't mean you can't be working just as easily in the US or in the UK. Our jurisdictions and the laws governing, refunds and claims are very similar. There are differences, but just like you have difference between certain laws in New South Wales and certain laws in Victoria or in WA. The differences are not the framework difference. The framework difference across those jurisdictions is very, very similar. So the beauty of it is, in reality, well, a lot of people say, oh, but I just want to worry about Australia. And, you can keep on doing Australia for the next 100 years because the money is constantly being lost. So that 23 billion will soon become 25, soon become 30 billion. We are not refunding fast enough. And this is why we desperately need people that can actually fill that role and do good. So With that in mind, I want to cover a few things. Number one, this is definitely not a get rich quick scheme of any kind. You know, you are developing new skill sets, you are developing, I guess, new disciplines, and you are learning a whole new career. And with that, if you do follow the steps, if you can follow steps, and you know, people that tend to be able to just follow the steps that are laid out. And you know, we've been here in this space for 23 years. We know this industry inside out, okay? Literally, I wrote this book and business has been delivering to many thousands of people globally. And so when we say, okay, can you put in, okay, the time, follow a simple system, work with it, use the support, and then develop that expertise and that skill set. And that opens up literally the gateways to something incredibly lucrative and something that is very feel good, because you're actually giving people money, and that feels really good most of the time, if not all of the time. Secondly, you're doing something that's ethically, okay? You are correcting what I believe is a complete wrong, okay? It is a wrong that is completely neglected. So, you know, trust authorities, the media, the government, all of that, okay? They really have no interest in the little guy, okay? And they don't actually push to ensure that all these people, and I'm talking millions in Australia and hundreds of millions across the world, are owed money, and some of them are owed massive amounts. And you will see this. I just use one spreadsheet in the coming exercise, and you will see, you know, 1 million records, and this is one of 25 that I've gathered on the fly just to show you, okay? And there are people that are owed, you know, 4 million, 3 million, 2 million, single person. So there is a disconnect, and I believe that refunding is a really ethical way of making that correction, okay? And so in many ways, for me, certainly, it's just as much about service as it is about, you know, making money and living the life you want, and all the other beautiful things that come along with it, which is, you know, it's a fluid business. It's a very easily customizable business. You know, you can be a morning person and be working early in the mornings, or you can do most of your work, you know, at midnight. It's got that capacity for fluidity. So with that in mind, I want to take you through a little bit about what we do and just a little bit more about the refunding sector, okay? So, you know, we've built a system that is very holistic, okay? Our platform is basically a refund central. It is literally ground zero. Anything and everything about refunding, about this sector, about every document, every tool, everything you ever need to say on the phone scripts, about how to track people and how to deal with people and how to actually prepare certain documents is literally there. You know, we've got pro formas, we've got videos showing everything, we've got audios. Like, it is absolutely 100% available at all levels of our programs, okay? So, you know, some of the areas that that we cover, and, you know, we have a system that allows you to very quickly, okay, develop your skill set, become an expert in this area, right? And that's been firmed up and tweaked and worked on for now 23 years, okay? So, and it is accumulation of many, not just myself, but, you know, people that have come through the program that have contributed. So it is a really beautiful tool that kind of summarizes a lot of people's good experiences. And with that, you have specialist modules that cover different things, so that, you know, you've got your core modules and your content and your, you know, 30-day video launch and all of that, what I consider to be core, just information that you really need to grab. But there's also specific modules that, you know, help you in certain areas. You know, like I was terribly shy when I started, okay? I was 29 and this was 23 years ago. And I was really quite reserved, and, you know, getting on the phone was not easy. And so I've developed and firmed, you know, how to be able to present myself and my business. And that is massive knowledge because it is specific to refunding. And, you know, taking that and taking other people's experiences. And then we've created this module, which, you know, you might not even need, but it's there if you need it for anything to do with phone calls. You know, how do you deal with people and track them, and, you know, what tools do you use? We've got a special module called skip tracing, which is specifically for refunding. There's nothing else like it in the world, quite literally. So they are specific modules in specific areas that you might require for the refunding sector. And then we've gone and said, okay, well, how do we actually fast track you? So we've looked at, you know, the different niches, and there is around eight major niches, okay? And you might want to take a pen and paper, and I'll cover some of these with you, okay? 8 major niches in refunding, and these are, you know, superannuation, you've got deceased estates, you've got real estate accounts, you've got pensions, you've got salaries and wages, you've got bonds, and then you've got bank accounts that are dormant, okay? And the final one is actually to do with insurance and premiums. So they kind of like major broad niches, okay? And they have hundreds of millions of dollars in them, each niche. And then there are other minor ones that you might find an interest in, you know, shares, lottery winnings, you know, but they are smaller niche areas that are also absolute gold, and everything is covered. Like, we leave nothing out. So pretty exciting stuff. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to explain to you a little bit more about why I talked about these niching areas, right? Why am I saying all this? So, you know, you go in and you check it all out, and you have a little bit of a tasting, and, you know, you actually specialize in the niche that you prefer, in a niche that works best for you. And there are many variables, and the business system actually discusses those niches and breaks down the pros and cons. And, you know, you will very quickly gravitate towards one niche and want to actually start kind of focusing on that, because some of them will suit your lifestyle better. Some of them will suit your need for either being hands-on and in control, or very hands-off and, you know, semi-passive in your processes. There is a lot involved, but that's part of the beauty of it. You specialize, you get really, really expert in one area, and you stabilize your business very quickly. And then at any time, okay, you can easily work in other niches and other areas. It's like a big, beautiful smorgasbord that you can just, you know, it's all very kind of sexy, but, you know, you specialize, you get your bearings, you become an expert in one area, and then you can start taking bites at other things. At the end of the day, you know, there is just so much money waiting for refunding, and there's only so many hours in the day. So, and we talk about scaling as well. How do you actually go past that and scale? And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But for now, I just want to explain that part. And now I want to actually go through and cover, okay, what it looks like really in numbers and in dollars. So let's get to that. So this little exercise that I'm about to show you is pretty exciting. So let's just have a look at this little list that I've actually created, right? I've basically uploaded amounts. These are the amounts, about 1,500 and over. And, you know, this particular list is downloaded, one of about 25 lists that I've got on Excel spreadsheet, just to give you an idea of the kind of amounts. The records keep on going down, 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 and they sit at just under 1 million records, with the highest amount. So it started at 1,500, and the highest amount is 5.2 million. 79789, so 5.2 million and change, and it's insurance money.
And so I've grabbed some of those names and some of those amounts that are owing, and I've just done a really simple exercise just to give you an idea of what it looks like on the inside in regards to money, which I think is really, really important, right? So let's say we're working only 5 days a week, okay? And, we are working on 10 people per day for those 5 days. And we've selected people that are owed $5,000 amounts. And there's literally, I don't know, maybe millions of records. Like I've tried to go down the list initially of just like, 1,300 to 1,500 when I was doing the second projection. And I was at, on this one list out of hundreds, I was at, I think, 27,000, and I was still not out of that bracket. So just to give you an idea of the magnitude. But for this particular exercise, you're selecting amounts of $5,000 that are owed to people, and mostly they are really clueless as to, them having this money sitting there. And basically you are making a massive impact into their lives, because you are basically putting money back in their pocket, and who doesn't love that? So that's refunding. So if you're working on these amounts, right, let's say you're selecting only $5,000 amounts, and your total refunds, if you refund 100%, would be $50,000 per day. But let's say you're only helping 2 people, right, each day. Out of 10, you're only really helping refund for 2 people. Well, the total refunded in that case is $10,000 every day. And if you're taking a fee of about 20%, then your total daily income is $2,000 per day for your efforts. Weekly, that comes to $10,000 a week. And if we're projecting that monthly, it is $40,000 a month. And over a 6-month period, look at how beautiful this is. You are looking at $260,000 in fees for your good work. Let's do another exercise. Let's say you're not wanting to start with $5,000 amounts, even though they're not the largest by far. We've had people refund in the millions, okay? But let's say you're only selecting people in the $1,500 category, and the same thing. You're only really working and helping 10 people every day, which is very, very, very conservative. And out of those, you are actually just refunding 4 people each day. So out of 10 on your list, you're really just reaching and refunding for 4. Okay, so that's refunded per day. You'd be refunding $6,000 each day. And, knowing that your fee is 20%, your daily income is $1,200 each day. So your weekly income is $6,000. Your monthly projection is $24,000. And at 6 months, you are earning $156,000. That gives you an idea of what it could look like and how controllable it is, So I hope you've enjoyed, and let it sink in, just the magnitude of this beautiful industry.
Hope you enjoyed that. It is probably a big eye-opener. But, having said that, the business is super rewarding, and it's actually fun and stimulating. It's a business that can be done, for many, many years. And I always say it's a business that if you're really functional from the neck up, you can do. And so it's something that, you can take. I can take to my 90s, as long as, I've got my mental faculties and my, my common sense, right? So having said that, though, it is in the financial sector, and so we're pretty selective about who we choose into the program for obvious reasons. And so, with that in mind, we do need to be having a conversation with you and making sure that you're the right fit, because it is handling other people's money. And at the end of the day, giving people their money, people that often don't know about it, it's a really lovely sector to be in, but it also requires you to be, ethical, honest. You need to be able to keep good records, etc. So with that in mind, the program itself It is, we deliver it on 3 different levels. The very first level is what we call the Australian, and that just covers the Australia sector only and has all the resources that are required for you to be able to launch, including a module specifically that allows you to do your branding and your website as you see. So we've got an entire module that just explains it and shows examples and, talks about content, etc. So, the Australian is fantastic for people that are wanting to only be working in Australia and have no interest in the other jurisdictions that we have. And, that could be a perfect fit for someone that's just like, look, I just want to do work in Australia. I want to be only dealing with Australians. And, you can be doing that for like I said, next 100 years, right? It will definitely outlast you. So that's the Australian. The international is the program that actually covers everything that's, in the Australia program, obviously, all the tools, all the support, all the 24/7 chat is available on both programs. And on top of that, you have the international modules, and the international modules are basically covering everything that you need to be able to establish in Australia and in overseas. So your business becomes a global business from day one, if you want it to be so. Some people start with just the international so that they can have the full picture and only start in Australia and then diversify out into, most people go into the US and the UK where they're very, very comfortable, right? And it's massive opportunity there. The US has 55 billion alone. The UK, I think it's around the 30 something billion dollars. So, the international allows you that option of being able to go, local, Australia only, or local, and with the option of being able to go into the US, UK, Canada, New Zealand. And, very similar level of support, which, we've got email support. We have a support person that, contacts you by phone. And we do chat support 24/7, and it's live and it's specific to the industry. It's not just customer support. This is pretty intensive. They know exactly who they're talking to. They know where you're at in your journey. They've got the whole picture. So we really narrowed it in, you guys. And then we've got what's called the Ultima. And the Ultima is kind of like the broad picture of the whole international. So it's got Australia, it's got the US, it's got UK, it's got Canada, it's got New Zealand. All the information for you to be able to go into those markets from day one. And it's also got all the additional modules and all the extra support with, additionally, a website and branding completely done for you. So that becomes much more hand-holding and much more intensive in a way. And, some people say, look, I really do need all the help I can get. I really do need to have the branding on point, and you won't get anyone being able to brand in this industry better than our branding team, all right? We've been doing it day in, day out, right? 9 hours a day for, 23 years. We know that. Same with website development. And I'm going to share with you just a little example of a website. Obviously, we can't show all of our clients' websites because, we're restricted due to privacy. But I'm going to share really quickly a website example just to give you an idea of what we do in the websiting section.
This is just one of our refunds websites, but you can see how important your business website should be while running your business.
Ultima is kind of like the mother of them all, and people love it. I definitely would recommend it if the budget's there for it. Absolutely phenomenal, right? That's the Ultima program. Now, just to be clear, with the 3 programs, they all have everything you would ever need in order for you to gear successfully. And not only that, after 12 months in your business, we start talking about scaling. How do we scale you, okay, and get you to the next level? How do we actually get you working even less, right? And then getting resources, getting systems, getting your whole business in scale so that you can actually just start multiplying. And, you know, you've seen some examples of clients, and, you know, they basically double. So, you know, I've seen 100%, okay, increase on business year in, year out. And that is not unusual. And that was certainly my journey in this sector, where I basically went, you know, 100%, 100% again, and then it just went crazy. So if this resonates with you, I would highly suggest that you would text your business advisor. I'm sure you've got their number. Just text them, you know, finished. And as soon as they get it, they'll try and organize a time to call you, or will give you a call if you're available. Just say finished, available now. Have a conversation and see if we can assist you further in onboarding. Thank you and have a wonderful day.